My content brain is working overtime here. WFAA. This Mark Cuban interview was 8.5 minutes long, and props to them, they milked the fuck out of it. They had a live stream to premiere it last night. That was 5 hours. Five-hour live stream for an 8-minute interview. I haven't heard anything about this. Let's go into it. We're going into this blind.
If if the Mavs are going to trade Luka, that's one thing. Just get a better deal.
Immediately off the rip. How much does he own of the team still? What percentage? Hunter at the 5 months March Madness stream this year. First weekend, I like doing shit. I already have plans for the first weekend of March Madness. Friday, there's going to be no slightly early that Friday. Golf. Head to a sports bar, watch the games afterwards. Saturday morning, TGK, are you in here? This is relevant to you. B-Dot, are you in here? This is relevant to you. Hoops, Saturday morning. Head to a bar afterwards to watch. One of my favorite weekends of the year. There's no way you're good at golf. I'm horrible at golf. I'm terrible at it. I think March 20th, Saturday. I think. Whatever Saturday that is. I think 28 teams offer a better deal for Luka, and I disagree. I very much disagree. I think the Luka deal's maybe a little bit shitted on. I think the Lakers deal, if you add Reeves, if you add a few more firsts, is one of the best you can get. All right, so Cuban owns 27% of the Mavs. Telling that he said the Mavs.
I see that your son joins you at a lot of games now.
Not enough, but as many as I can.
Well,
yeah.
I know.
All right, slightly ADHD. We're going 1.5 speed here.
I remember the finals. I think I saw you taking pictures with Jack Harlow. I mean, that's got to be cool to have him.
Best thing ever.
To be along for the ride. What has that father-son bonding?
Well, I've got 2 daughters too, so that's
I don't want to leave
with
them
all my kids.
Right,
all my kids. It's amazing. There's just not enough hours in the day for them. I would spend every minute of every day.
I'm sorry. We're skipping this bit. Skip to the 6-minute mark. Are you serious? What do they talk about for all of this?
Your son's favorite player.
It was Luka, but now it's Max Christie.
You did the hard shift.
Yeah, because I told him once in MFL, it's the jersey, because it was like.
I saw you. He was with you for the game in LA. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But like my daughter, my middle daughter was Quentin Grimes, and she was just so upset when we traded Quentin.
How did your son react to the
Notice how he said, I want to golf too. The golfing is not my thing. I'm just going. Notice how he said, we to the Quentin Grimes trade. I'm not a golfer. I'm only going for, it's a March Madness tradition. We for the Quentin Grimes trade, but the Dallas Mavericks for the Luka trade. I need an expert in on that. Tyler with the $4.99. Imagine this life. Mary Adelson hates her son-in-law so much they wanted him away from the real family business, buys the Mavs just to distract them. That's a fun subplot for like a TV show.
trade?
About like I did.
Did you have to break it to him, or did he?
No, he knew. Like I knew 5 minutes at the most before, and so everybody else was, when it hit, everybody knew. And
did you tell him ahead of time, or did he? Have to
I didn't know
find
ahead of time.
You didn't know?
No.
I think that night you told me that you weren't involved with it. So are you like all the way out? Are you not? Do they not consult you on anything, or are they just?
They might tell me something after the fact, or now with Rick Welts in particular, if there's something going on where I've had experience, I'll reach out to him and just say, hey, expect this, 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 and this. But from a basketball perspective, I hear about it after the fact. I don't hear about anything beforehand.
Is that tough? I mean, because you really took that organization from a pup 25 years ago. Is that tough being?
Yeah, there are parts that aren't fun, obviously, especially this month or last month.
I can say Cuban did not expect the fact that he's not involved at all anymore. he was acting like this. He wasn't acting like this when he was telling fans to shut the fuck up. He said he would be involved. He thought he would be involved. We talked, when this happened, we talked about this ad nauseum. One, we said, guys, be careful. You want a new owner. Cuban's really not that bad. You want a new owner. It could be much worse. But also, too, they told Cuban that he's still going to make decisions. All right, that ain't happening. That ain't happening. He is a dumbass then.
But
I can't believe he thought that he would be still super involved with the team. Surely he didn't actually think that. Paul at the $5. If he thought he would be in control when they gave him $2 billion, he's a fool. Yeah. He was involved. Just in my head canon, this is just based off of nothing, but just what I think. Just what I speculate. I think that Cuban might have been privy to the idea that it could happen. Not that maybe he didn't know it was going to happen at that moment. Maybe he didn't know who the team was going to be. Maybe he didn't know what the trade package was going to be. But I think he might have been privy to the idea that it was happening. That there was a good chance a trade could go down. Thoughts on people named Mark? Not a bad name. Not a bad name at all.
they paid for that right.
Yeah. You don't have regrets about selling the team?
Sometimes I get mad and I would have done this, but not really, because go back to why I sold. I don't want my kids to end up in this exact position at some level if they made a mistake, right? I mean, literally imagine if I didn't and my kids had taken over and they made a mistake like this.
You didn't want them to go down, the road of owning
Not that I
Mavericks,
didn't want them,
or to deal with the criticism of it?
It's just social media has changed things dramatically, and they grew up with social media. All their friends are connected to them on social media, and to log in and scroll through your feed and just see what we're seeing now, seeing what happened with the Jones family, continuously. I didn't want my kids to go through that. And then there were other things, like you can only scream at the refs and at the league about the refs for so long before it's just like, I'm an idiot. Stop.
How much money have you paid the refs over the years?
A lot. Not the
Tyler with the $4.99. Cuban sold the team so he didn't have to extend Luka. Yeah, he's calling it a mistake. I completely get Cuban wanting to do something like this, because I feel like in his shoes, you want to make it known, hey guys, I'm not involved the way you think I'm involved still. I'm not pulling strings. I'm not a decision maker anymore. Stop sending hate my way. I wouldn't have done this. Please understand that. The way that this is, please stop including my family in this shit. Right? Completely get that. From just like an individual's perspective. Completely get it. I still feel, as somebody who's still involved with the team, still owns a very decent amount of the team, I don't think this was a good idea. I really don't. Personally, if I was like in Cuban's team, like a PR person, I'd just be like, I don't know if we do an interview like this, man. It's just, what's the positives of it? Like maybe it looks a little bit better for us. Maybe. But ultimately, it's just going to be the PR shitstorm of like, oh, hey, guys, the previous owner and a guy who still owns a good chunk of the team and is still at every single game has called this a mistake openly.
refs themselves.
No, they
never paid the refs a penny. I offered one penny.
I almost got you there.
Yeah.
No, I mean the league.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
And then there's just the nature of it. Like Patrick and the Sands Corporation, they're better suited to deal with building than I am.
Really, I mean, they're real estate.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Right.
And I didn't want to find myself in a situation where I couldn't compete because I didn't know how to do that stuff. And with Cost Plus, instead of me diving in having to learn how to build a casino or arena, a lobby, that stuff, I'd rather focus on cost plus from a time perspective.
Would you ever have traded Luka Doncic?
Are you really the last person to find out about this skip ads forever button?
Good ad place. Hey, content brain kicking in here. Great ad placement.
From a time perspective.
Would you ever have traded Luka Doncic?
I'm not going to go there. It doesn't even matter.
I mean, I saw you were at the game though in LA, and I mean that signifies. And I think you dapped up his. So there's some sort of.
Well, there's connection. Just because we traded, I can still talk to Steve Nash. I mean, I went through this before when Steve Nash left, and then won 2 MVPs.
Yeah.
Right. The good news is that we went to the finals and won a championship. So I've been through something, but there wasn't social media back then, so it wasn't quite the same. But yeah, I mean, you're going to make mistakes, and I think the biggest challenge that the Mavs have right now is there's nobody who's really outgoing to communicate.
I find it interesting. Certain things it's we, certain things it's us, certain things it's the Mavs. I think he's actually right about this though, because Cuban noticed that Cuban was the sponge for a lot of this. He was the most outward facing person in the organization, and he was the sponge for a lot of Mavs fans' criticism and anger. It's an interesting non-answer. So if you're gonna shit on some of the other stuff, why not just openly be like, I wouldn't have traded him. If I was in charge, the trade wouldn't have happened. Right? Something like that. Stars got Rantanen. Your buddy Nick made a good point about there being no face of the team now. Yeah. I part of me kind of thinks that's by design a little bit. This interview kind of leads me to believe body language expert. Yeah, we needed a body language expert on. This interview, I'm not going to lie. I feel a little bit stronger in my initial belief that Cuban might have known a trade could happen. However, was not privy to the idea that it was happening right then and there.
And it's not so much what you do, it's how you communicate why you do what you do. And that's their challenge without me in front.
Do you think some of that is because they're kind of new to this? I mean, they've been
I think it's just not their nature.
And well, they've been also NBA owners for about a year. And I mean, Nico's been GM for a few years, but entirely, that's not a whole lot of experience. Do you feel like that's part of it?
No, they're just not me, right? You can't expect them to be me. Where when Steve Nash left, I wrote a blog post explaining why, and talking about all these things. I talked about how we traded for Luka. That's what I did. That was the way I connected to fans, and that's the way I tried to build a connection with fans. They're just not me, and that's not a bad thing. There's things they're going to do that are better than anything I can do in that regard.
It's important to note Cuban was a unicorn in this way. It's not really how a lot of teams operate. There's not a lot of teams that have just like a super outward facing person that you could get mad at. At least somebody who's just like online a bunch. Chuckles 2 months. Much love, slightly. Fuck Nico. Rest in peace, Mavs 2025. Yeah, rest in peace. Stars got Ratatouille. Hell yeah. I love like the idea of Ratatouille and Räikkönen for the Stars putting pressure on the net. Putting the puck in the zone. And putting pressure on the net, and they're sort of what they can do with the first and second line really makes you think about what's to come in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Does that sound good, guys? How close am I to being somewhat on there? Like if I went on the DLLS Star Show right now and said that, would anyone be like, okay, well, true. And it's like, okay, yeah. That's true. That's a good point. Does he fight? Well, that's a good question. Hey, when the gloves come off.
But I still think it may take longer now, but it'll be okay.
Have you talked to Luka since the trade?
Yeah, we texted a few times.
Are you guys good?
Yeah, we're good. It's like, I'm still great with Sasha and Luka's team, right? I'm still friends with them. So, just like, it took a while, but, Steve Nash and I are friends again. And so.
You mentioned, was your son upset about the trade?
Yeah, I mean.
Were you?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Tyler with the 499 reporter. Can you imagine a GM with less than 4 years in experience, a new owner who has no idea traded a generational player? Cuban, yeah. Man.
Yeah, of course. And I've said this before. If the Mavs are going to trade Luka, that's one thing. Just get a better deal. No disrespect to Anthony Davis, but get 3. If I still firmly believe if we had gotten 4 unprotected number ones and Anthony Davis and Max Christie, this would be a different conversation.
Interesting. You notice it's the difference between the Mavs and the going back and forth between the two. I'm telling you guys, this trading Luka Doncic is one thing, the package is another. I stand firm in my belief that he might have known that something like this could happen.
That seems to be one of the criticisms following.
Yeah, but it's not my call, so it doesn't matter.
You mentioned that you're an MF.
FL.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's so hard to say. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I've been here like 8 years. It's still really
Yeah.
does not
Meffel.
roll off the tongue. But this has been a tough month plus
Yeah.
for fans. A lot of them are super angry. Are they justified in feeling that way?
Yeah, you're justified however you feel. We can't. What makes sports different than every other industry, Google Texas Instruments has a record quarter. Nobody throws a parade. And when you win, if fans are passionate enough to show up in 100-degree weather and line the streets, then you've got to expect when things don't go the way they want, they're going to be just as passionate in response.
I've seen some comments on social media, fans who are upset at the whole situation, but some who are upset at you for selling the team. And they feel, I don't know if it's betrayal or what that emotion is, but
They didn't feel that way when we went to the finals last year.
they did not. What would your message to those fans be who feel that, that
Father
you
Time's
sold them out?
undefeated, right? Father Time's undefeated, so nobody plays forever. And so you go through adjustments, and hopefully Nico and Patrick, have a plan, and they'll make it work.
They haven't consulted you at all throughout any of this.
I have not talked to Nico about it. I said hi to Nico twice after the trade.
Are you going to get back into owning an NBA team?
I mean, if someone makes me a deal, but unlikely.
Unlikely.
What? He's out. He's out. I'm telling you, he's just out. Man. There's still something behind the scenes here that makes no sense. I'm telling you, there's something behind the scenes. I mean, guys, just look a little bit more into this. There's something at the end here that just doesn't make any sense. Occam's razor, all of that. There is the simple explanation is Cuban really thought when he sold the team that, hey, I can get a few $1 billion out of this, and I could still be in charge. Like, they told me that. They told me I could still be in charge, and I'll still be in charge. I'll do all the stuff I've already done, which is what he said after the sale. He's still going to do all the stuff, all the stuff that I've already done, and I'm going to get some money out of it. Like, easy win for me. Did he really think that was going to happen? Occam's razor would say, yeah, that's exactly what happened. That he knew that he really thought that he could get some money out of it. The Adelsons just wanted to build a new stadium. They didn't really give a fuck about any of the other stuff. They're complete and total business people. They don't care about the inner workings of it all. What about Gillette's razor? Gillette's razor tells me. That's what Gillette's razor tells me. Something doesn't add up here at all. Sorry. Just doesn't. There's just some behind the scenes things. That's on Old Spice deodorant. I use it. I use Old Spice deodorant. I tried once to use one of the natural deodorants, and it smells like shit. Not that it makes me smell like shit. Not that it's bad BO, but the deodorant itself fucking stinks. And people would be like, dude, what's that BO? It's like, no, man, that's not BO. That's actually how the deodorant smells. It's like, oh, okay. It's like, yeah, sorry, man. No, I actually I don't have any BO, but the deodorant smells like that. Oh, sort of defeats the purpose a tiny bit, right? Just think there's some stuff that doesn't make sense and add up. I mean, of course, there's stuff we don't know, right? What have the 10% sources said on Mark Cuban? Nothing really. Nothing really. My whole my belief before I listened to this interview was Cuban probably was a little bit privy to the idea that a trade could happen. That seems to be, from what we've heard from reporting, that seems to be like the prevailing thought that this trade, the idea that a trade could happen, had been in the works for quite some time. I just have a hard time believing that information didn't trickle down a little bit to Cuban. And after this interview, I still leave thinking the same thing. Cuban might have known it was possible, but didn't know it was going to happen when it did, if that makes sense. So, even Lucas said he knew this would happen, probably not this soon. I think when Lucas said he expected it, I think what he was talking about, and this is just speculation, who knows, but I think what he was referring to was the fact that they shitted on him following the trade. Would be my guess. Okay, but it changes nothing. Yeah, it really doesn't change anything. Cuban would have leaked that shit. Stop it. No, I'm not entirely sure that's true. I'm not entirely sure that's true. I do think, and you don't need any reporting about this. They literally traded the guy. This is what I go back to. They literally traded him, so this is true. I do think that there was some real legit frustration between Luka and the front office and vice versa. So Cuban had to be privy to that. And maybe the frustration went a lot deeper than we know. And so it was like some higher ups and executives were like, hey, trading Luka's on the table. But again, I don't know if people expected it when it happened, is the thing. Maybe it was more of a summer thing, whatever the case may be. Cuban is speaking in patterns that much is obvious. He is dancing around the full truth and wants us to know he can't say everything. This is like a PR sort of like, hey guys, just a reminder, I'm not really involved anymore. I'm not really involved anymore, guys. That's what this interview is. Yes, leave me and my family alone, please. Yes, that is what this interview is. Just a reminder, guys, I'm not doing shit anymore, guys. All right? I didn't know. I wouldn't have done it. But if I would have done it, I would have gotten more. That's telling. Just not straight up be like, no, I would not have done this. Point blank. It was like, well, if you're going to do it, you need to get more.